Imagine a world where hope for the rarest diseases isn't just a dream, but a calculated bet, costing hundreds of millions. What would drive a billion-dollar company to gamble its future on a small biotech and a single experimental therapy, especially as competitors circle and markets shift faster than ever before? Welcome to the high-stakes world of BioMarin's latest game-changing move, one that could rewrite the odds for patients, investors, and the entire future of rare disease medicine. But there's a twist. Success is far from guaranteed, and every move is shadowed by risk, controversy, and cutthroat competition. So, what's really at stake, and why now? And most importantly, can this bold bet actually deliver on its promise, or could it backfire, shaking the very foundations of an industry built on both innovation and hope? Let's pull back the curtain and decode this unfolding drama. Over the last year, a quiet revolution has been taking place inside the walls of BioMarin. Once known for pioneering treatments for rare genetic diseases, BioMarin found itself at a crossroads. Competition was mounting. Some of their biggest breakthroughs, the enzyme replacement therapies that had once seemed unbeatable, were suddenly facing new challengers. The company responded with the kind of ruthless focus that only high-stakes biotechnology can justify. Entire programs were slashed. Hundreds of jobs gone. The message was clear. BioMarin would not go quietly into obsolescence. Instead, it was doubling down, not on size, but on strategy. Enter James Sabry, the new chief business officer. Recruited from Roche, where he shepherded deals worth billions, Sabry was the harbinger of change. Alongside Alexander Hardy, BioMarin's freshly appointed CEO and also a Roche alum, the leadership envisioned BioMarin's next chapter: growth through rare, transformative therapies. Sabry's philosophy? Innovation can't be left to chance. It must be engineered, assembled, and, when necessary, acquired. The first test of this vision arrived in the form of an unassuming Boston-based biotech, Inozyme Pharma. The deal was swift, $270 million, all in cash, at $4 per share. For BioMarin, whose appetite for deals was rumored closer to a billion-dollar scale, some analysts dismissed the acquisition as modest. But inside boardrooms, the story was different. This wasn't just a business move. It was a strategic opening gambit for market dominance in rare diseases. Why Inozyme? The answer lies in a single devastating genetic disorder, ENPP1 deficiency. Affecting roughly 1 in 200,000 newborns worldwide, this disease upends lives, causing everything from mineral buildup in arteries and organs to fragile bones and life-threatening complications. There isn't a single approved treatment, just hope, waiting for a scientific miracle. Inozyme's lead candidate, INZ-701, was that miracle in the making. Deep into phase 3 trials, this enzyme replacement therapy had the potential not only to become the first approved drug for ENPP1 deficiency, but to transform the very standard of care for patients who until now had none. BioMarin has been deeply committed to advancing enzyme therapies for children and adults with serious genetic conditions for more than 25 years, and today's agreement builds on our legacy, declared CEO Alexander Hardy after the deal's announcement. His words, brimming with resolve, gave a nod to BioMarin's storied past, but all eyes were fixed on the future. The significance of this bet was not lost on Wall Street. BioMarin's stock price leaped 20% after the news broke, a surge not seen in recent quarters. Analysts rushed to revise their models. Jeffrey Porges of Leerink Partners called it a strategic imperative, signaling BioMarin's intention to lock in its rare disease dominance. Evaluate Pharma projected peak annual sales for INZ-701 at $500 million if approved, a tidy sum for a company aiming to hit $4 billion in annual revenues by 2027. Of course, the play isn't just about one drug, it's about reshaping an entire business and an industry. BioMarin's restructuring wasn't mere cost-cutting, it was clearing the decks, making the company leaner and more focused. Massive investments, like $60 million to triple cleanroom space at its Novato, California facility, and the purchase of an FDA-approved manufacturing site in Ireland, signaled that BioMarin was preparing not just for survival, but for exponential growth. In the words of Jay Olson, a leading biotech analyst, BioMarin's gene therapy platform is positioned for long-term growth, especially as it addresses the unmet needs of rare disease patients. This isn't just an investment in one therapy, but in the possibility of rewriting the treatment paradigm. The acquisition also fits into a broader ecosystem of innovation. BioMarin has partnered with Deep Genomics, riding the wave of artificial intelligence to accelerate drug discovery for 4 more rare diseases. The future? Faster, smarter, and more precise therapeutics, delivered to smaller, more desperate communities than ever before. On the business side, BioMarin has been setting ambitious targets: $4 billion in annual revenue by 2027, a 15% year-on-year sales growth for its flagship drug Voxzogo, and a projected 60% market share in the achondroplasia space by 2028. Every strategic move, from purchasing new manufacturing facilities to shepherding gene therapies through critical regulatory reviews, is laser-focused on scaling fast before competitors can close the gap. But the rare disease landscape has never been more cutthroat. For every innovation, there's a rival in the shadows. In the skeletal disorders market, Voxzogo's dominance is already under threat from Inozyme Pharma's TransCon CNP, BridgeBio's Infigratinib, and Robomic's RBM007, all racing to offer superior solutions. Salim Said, an industry watcher at Mizuho, warns, Voxzogo's growth is robust, but competition is mounting. If BioMarin loses its first-mover advantage, the consequences could ripple throughout its business. And then, there's the regulatory gauntlet. INZ-701's fate now rests with both the FDA and the European Medicines Agency. Priority review has been granted for BioMarin's gene therapy for PKU, but history is filled with stories of last-minute setbacks and regulatory delays. Each day waiting for approval is a day lost to rivals and to patients in desperate need. Meanwhile, the ENPP1 patient community, galvanized by decades of hope deferred, watches closely. Global Genes, a leading patient advocacy group, captured the mood. The ENPP1 community views INZ-701 as a promising therapy that could significantly improve quality of life. There is finally reason to believe that relief is on the horizon. But what if the therapy fails to win approval? Or, even if it does, what if BioMarin's expansion plans outpace the market's ability to absorb them? Manufacturing, while critical, demands capital and exposes the company to operational risk, especially as it scales globally. A misstep here could turn today's windfall into tomorrow's hangover. Regulators, meanwhile, are under increasing pressure from both industry and patient groups. Early diagnosis is vital. According to the Mayo Clinic, identifying ENPP1 deficiency as soon as possible is critical for optimizing patient outcomes. But healthcare systems, especially outside the US and Europe, are rarely up to the task. The market is global, but the infrastructure is patchy. All of this is happening as the pharmaceutical industry itself faces a wave of consolidation and disruption. BioMarin, a mid-sized powerhouse, is as much a hunter as it is potential prey. Should another giant, whether from big pharma or a deep-pocketed tech-health hybrid, decide to make a move, the entire game board could be overturned in months. So, we find BioMarin at a crossroads of extraordinary promise and profound risk. Everything depends on the next steps. Can INZ-701 deliver on its scientific and commercial promise, or will regulatory and market forces outmaneuver BioMarin's boldest bet yet? As Phase 3 results for INZ-701 approach, and competitors gear up for their own launches, one question looms. Has BioMarin finally cracked the code to sustainable, innovation-driven growth, or is the company now more vulnerable than ever to the unforgiving logic of biotech competition? In a world where one breakthrough can change thousands of lives, and one setback can erase billions, the real drama is just beginning. As BioMarin steps boldly into this new chapter, the stakes have never been higher. The acquisition of Inozyme Pharma and its promising candidate INZ-701 could redefine the company's trajectory, and possibly the landscape of rare disease therapeutics itself. But what comes next? Let's fast forward to the next few years and explore the scenarios, risks, and opportunities that could shape BioMarin's fate and the lives of patients waiting for answers. If all goes according to BioMarin's strategy, we could witness the dawn of a new era in treating ENPP1 deficiency. Imagine a world where children born with this devastating genetic disorder no longer face an uncertain future. With Phase 3 results for INZ-701 expected next year, early signs are encouraging. A successful readout could lead to accelerated approval by both the FDA and the EMA, even as early as 2027. For families living with ENPP1 deficiency, this would mean, for the first time, a therapy offering hope and tangible improvement to quality of life. As Jeffrey Porges from Leerink Partners evaluates, INZ-701 isn't just a product, it's BioMarin's ticket to leadership in enzyme therapeutics for rare disease. Should INZ-701 clear regulatory hurdles, Evaluate Pharma estimates it could become a $500 million a year blockbuster. Not earth-shattering compared to some cancer drugs, but in rare disease, that's a market-changing event. But let's not overlook the hurdles ahead. The rare disease field is notorious for its unpredictability. Regulatory bodies demand not just efficacy, but ironclad safety. A single unexpected side effect in Phase 3 could delay or even derail approval. Manufacturing complex enzymes at scale is a daunting operational challenge. BioMarin's $60 million investment to expand its Novato facility and new FDA-approved plant in Ireland are bold steps, but they must execute flawlessly. Any slip could give competitors an opening. And the competitive landscape is heating up. While BioMarin solidifies its grip in enzyme therapies, rivals like Inozyme Pharma with their TransCon CNP and BridgeBio's infigratinib are circling with advanced candidates targeting overlapping rare skeletal disorders. Salim Syed from Mizuho cautions, Voxzogo's lead is significant, but the competition is targeting BioMarin's bread and butter. If these competitors break through, Voxzogo's market share, forecast to hit 60% by 2028, could falter, squeezing BioMarin's growth engine. Regulatory winds could shift as well. Policymakers are reassessing orphan drug incentives worldwide, spurred by rising drug prices and budget constraints. If the FDA or EMA tightens rules or reimbursement policies, BioMarin's ambitious projections could face sudden reversals. As Jay Olson from Oppenheimer notes, for BioMarin, policy risk is real, especially in Europe, where the EMA reviews are notoriously thorough. INZ 701's EMA review is ongoing, making Europe both a crucial opportunity and a wild card. There's also the looming question of scalability and technological shift. BioMarin's bet is not just on enzyme replacement, but on a future where gene therapies and AI-driven discovery play central roles. Their partnership with Deep Genomics promises to push the boundaries of rare disease drug design, harnessing machine learning to uncover new targets at breakneck speed. If successful, BioMarin could leapfrog competitors, transforming from a rare disease stalwart into a next-generation biotech powerhouse. But these innovations require flawless execution, massive capital, and relentless adaptation. Even as their stock price soared 20% following the Inozyme acquisition, investors are watching closely. Success depends on hitting revenue targets, like the $4 billion goal for 2027, while managing the costs of expansion and R&D. Missing a milestone or a regulatory setback on INZ 701 could trigger a rapid reversal of investor confidence. That brings us to another intriguing scenario. Could BioMarin itself become a takeover target? With big pharma giants perpetually hunting for late-stage assets and pipeline depth, BioMarin's sharpened rare disease portfolio and next-gen therapies could make it an attractive prize. Under new business chief James Sabry, who remember oversaw $5 billion in annual deals at Roche, BioMarin might just as well become the hunter as the hunted. So, where does this all leave the patient communities and families impacted by rare diseases like ENPP1 deficiency? For them, these corporate maneuvers are far from abstract. Global Genes, a patient advocacy group, puts it bluntly. INZ 701 is more than a drug, it's a lifeline. The promise of a first-ever treatment would mean reduced pain, fewer hospitalizations, and a shot at a normal childhood for affected kids. But for now, it's a tightrope of hope and uncertainty, awaiting clinical data and regulatory green lights. The practical takeaways for viewers are surprisingly universal, even if your life hasn't been touched by rare disease. First, BioMarin's story shows how focused, strategic pivots can revitalize a company after setbacks. Just a year ago, BioMarin was tightening its belt, cutting headcount, paring down programs. Today, it's on the offensive, using targeted acquisitions to leap ahead. For entrepreneurs and investors, it's a powerful reminder. Sometimes, bold bets in specialized niches pay off where incremental growth wouldn't. Second, rare disease drug development is not just big science, it's big risk. The cost to develop a single orphan drug can top $1 billion, with no guarantee of success. Yet the rewards, both financial and humanitarian, can be massive when a company is first to market. Navigating these waters demands not just technical brilliance, but shrewd negotiation with regulators, payers, and advocacy groups. If you're an investor, BioMarin's approach offers some clear signals. Watch for pipeline diversity. BioMarin's not putting all its eggs in one basket. With gene therapy for PKU under priority FDA review and new trials in Duchenne muscular dystrophy, the company is securing multiple shots on goal. This diversification can buffer against unexpected setbacks. And for those in the biopharma industry, BioMarin's embrace of AI drug discovery, through its collaboration with Deep Genomics, illustrates how tech can accelerate innovation in even the most complex fields. AI isn't just a buzzword here. It could dramatically reduce the time from target discovery to clinical candidate, especially in ultra-rare conditions where traditional discovery is slow and costly. For patients and advocates, BioMarin's journey is a call to persistence. The road from scientific discovery to approved therapy is long and winding, but as INZ 701 shows, patient voices matter at every step. Advocacy groups played a crucial role in spotlighting ENPP1 deficiency, pushing for early diagnosis, which studies at the Mayo Clinic have shown is critical for best outcomes, and ensuring clinical trials have meaningful endpoints. For families in the rare disease community, staying engaged can literally change the fate of future therapies. As we draw these threads together, let's return to the central question. Will INZ 701 succeed, and can BioMarin's bold strategy secure its leadership in the rare disease market? The answer, as of today, is cautiously optimistic. BioMarin has stacked the odds in its favor. The INZ 701 program is advancing on schedule. The company's manufacturing expansion and AI-enabled pipeline position it for resilience against unforeseen setbacks. If INZ 701's Phase 3 data holds up, and if regulatory reviews proceed without major hitches, BioMarin could establish itself not just as a survivor of industry shifts, but as one of its architects. Yet the path is far from guaranteed. Regulatory, operational, and competitive risks still loom. The next 18 months will be decisive. Clinical data, filings, and policy shifts could tip the scales in either direction. Will BioMarin extend its winning streak or stumble as the rare disease race intensifies? One secret that often goes unreported is just how much these business moves ripple outward. When companies like BioMarin succeed in rare disease, it galvanizes research across the sector, new startups, fresh capital, more advocacy, and ultimately, more hope for neglected diseases. Rare disease isn't just a niche anymore, it's becoming biotech's new frontier. If you found this journey as fascinating as we did, hit that like button and subscribe for deep dives into the stories shaping medicine and innovation. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Will BioMarin's bet pay off? What's your take on the future of rare disease therapies? And if you want to learn more about how AI is transforming drug discovery, check out our next video on the biotech revolution powered by artificial intelligence. The future isn't